Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to yet another exciting episode. And this is a very special episode of Dream Career Talk Show. As you all know, Dream Career Talk Show is about building your dream career, which is much beyond getting a job. Here on this show, we are going to have industry experts coming from various domains who will be sharing their knowledge, their experiences, their challenges, their failures, and success so that it can help others in their career journey. This show is to help corporate professionals expand their context, get clarity, direction, hope, inspiration, and of course, the right steps to build their dream career. Today's topic is very special. It is about emotions. How do you grow emotional likability for your brand? Every time you say and do something, you are adding to the perception of your brand. Behavior is the common point where your personal and business brand meet. That's where likability and trust starts. But what's career got to do with emotional likability? We will understand all of that because today we have somebody who comes with 30 plus years of experience in marketing and also helping in branding. To know how to grow emotional likability, we have our special guest, Joy Abdullah, who is a strategic marketing consultant specialized in marketing strategy and brand consulting. He helps B2B service business CEOs and their marketing teams grow emotional likability for their brands through his Triple M strategy framework. His methodology is an outcome of learnings he has in marketing leadership roles for over 30 years. So I'm very excited to have him on the show. So Joy Abdullah, welcome to Dream Career Talk Show.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much, Fatah. That was a delightful introduction. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be able to share some knowledge, some applied knowledge. I won't call it wisdom, learnings to help the audience and your side with building personal branding and how to use it effectively.
Right. So thank you once again. And now we know that the kind of experience you come with, right, over 3 decades in marketing, branding. Now, before we get into how do you actually grow the emotional likability, can we also understand why somebody needs to build a brand, first of all?
Great question. I mean, let me pause here a moment because I'm taking in the question. Why do you need to build a brand? Um, okay, I'm trying to think of a good example, but then the only example that keeps coming at this time, pardon me, it is 9:30 p.m. at my end. I'm 2.5 hours ahead of you, so I think a little bit of the sleep is kicking in. But that apart, why do people apples are apples? So whether you get the Manali apples or the Fuji apples, they're apples. But why are they called Manali apples, Fuji apples, Washington apples? There's a difference, right? There's a perception attached to each of those names in terms of the quality. So, build a brand is where you differentiate your product, your service, or in this case, yourself as an individual from all the other commodities. We are 7.6 odd billion in the last count on this planet. And we always say, those of us who are avid on social media, I'm sure you've come across this little line that we are all unique and we are all different. And yes, we are. Our fingerprints and our irises are all different. We may have doppelgangers that look like us, talk like us, walk like us, but individually they're different. Build a brand if you want to be differentiated, to stand out, and most importantly, to be visible. That's what I will say. Why build a brand?
Okay. And you come with that marketing experience. So how do you connect this marketing and branding together? Like,
Well, you don't market anything. If you're marketing something without a brand, without building a brand, you're just doing commodity marketing. So then you go to the wholesale market, as we all know, and you just buy by weight and price. The denominators, the evaluation parameters are the simple. But a brand is lots more. A brand actually is part of your life. A brand is something that you believe is intrinsically helping you be better, giving you a solution, providing you something that takes away some worries or issues that you have. So all of that has a value perception, and value works at three levels: emotional, functional, and financial. Financial being the price area where we usually get stuck. But functional is where 80-85% of brands, especially those in the consumer side, quick use, over the counter brands are. They give an immediate solution, so you go into it. And the last bit is where really the brands that we know, the hallmark brands, really focus: emotional value. And this is where you'll have the top 100 brands, the Apples of the world, the HPs of the world, the in India, I would say, company wise, the Tatas of the world, so to speak, all play in that area. There is something more, I'll use the word passion, that connects. There's a resonancy between what this brand believes and does and behaves that jives with me as the recipient, and therefore my preference goes with my heart. It's like being in love, if I may say. Being in love in business and corporate is always a very fluffy woo-woo area, so I stay away from it. But if you don't have that as a brand, there's no marketing. You don't need to do marketing. Then what you're doing is just procurement and supply order and purchasing inventory kind of thing. You're just selling bulk on price. That's, you can term it marketing. A lot of trading companies do that, but it's not marketing. It's just procurement and inventory management out. Brand is, you build, you nurture it like you have a child. It's literally like giving birth and growing it and grooming it. And therefore, you've seen the efficacy of what brands create for marketing through, the Coca-Colas of the world. And you can see the benefit. Marketing, therefore, starts playing a very important role, because the business becomes marketing the brand. The business then moves away from what its core to everything that is all about being true to the value and delivering that emotional connect. So marketing cannot work without branding. Branding by itself is just a label. You can have a logo and a design and a name, but if you don't market it, and there's a whole slew of activities to do, from strategic planning all the way down to content strategy and social media management today, there is no marketing.
And you spoke about commodity and sales and all of that as well here. Now, when people are, say, marketing a product, right, or a brand, it's just that you are showing that particular product again and again. But how do you increase the likability, what you talk about, the emotional likability of your product? And what actually is the brand like? Is it just the product or the services or the human beings? How do you connect this?
The brand is actually the value that it believes in. So first and foremost is that if you keep showing your product and service all the time, it's speaking from I. It's a first person, your own perception of what will gel with the consumer. So after a certain point in time, initially for a launch or something, it's good, but you reach a fatigue. Many of us don't like somebody who keeps talking I. At the same time, if you keep talking we, it comes across as condescending. It comes across as like you're just trying to look down on me. So what really connects is you go back to the, call it the brand house. I call it the brand house, brand structure, which is where my triple M program leads to. You look at what is the core value. You'll have a list of values that is part of the brand DNA, so to speak. And one of those will have to be the priority number one. That value is the most important value. The second thing you look at is, so what's the purpose? Why does this business exist? And why did this brand get born? What is this brand supposed to do? And this purpose is not about making money, profitability, revenue, cash flow, none of those. It's all about development of society, community, nation, that kind of altruistic level. There has to be a bigger purpose for which this business is in play. So whether you're a freelance a freelance person, or you're a global Fortune 500, there has to be a bigger purpose, and that purpose and this value becomes the story of the brand. It then has to start talking what that value is, why should you value, and it should start talking to people for whom those value matters. And this then takes us into an area of understanding who is your ideal customer or client. I don't like the word customer. And we use an old Pareto principle, which everybody knows, which is 20% of your clients are going to give you 80% of your business. And you spend time to really identify who is your ideal client, where are they, what's their behavior, what's their pain point. And this psyche, this profiling, actually brings out what resonates with that audience. And you look at your value and you align it and you communicate on that. And to communicate on that, there are many. You can go by highway, you can go by ship, you can go by plane, you can go by rocket. There are many avenues to communicate. There are many tools to use in marketing. The more you do that, and none of these use products or services per se, but the more you do that, the more you keep getting the engagement. The first task of marketing is get attention, get engagement. Then the second task is maintain the I lost my track over there. Maintain the engagement. And when you maintain the engagement, you build. Maintain means you build. So it's like relationship building between a man and a woman. So if you like somebody, you fall in love, you build. That love strengthens over time. You invest doing some stuff, small things or big things, and celebrating anniversaries, or whatever it is. The same way the brand communicates to invest and give value over and over and over. And mind you, this value I'm talking about is that emotional value. You know your target audience, you know what the target audience wants. So I work in the B2B space. Just to give you an example, if I know in my chief account, in my main client account, there are 8 or 10 people, and 2 of them are in procurement, but one of them in procurement is looking at something to do with X. X is on his personal side or on an interest side, on a hobby side, nothing to do with his role in procurement for the client. But from the brand, I start communicating if that interest area aligns with the brand. There's 2 ways to do it. One is you can do it personally, one-on-one. So as an account manager managing that business, you can feed that client of yours through email marketing, through WhatsApp, through messaging on social media, links and interests that would help that client. That's one way of doing it. That's personal. Now, caveat: before you do that personal, you've got to know that client very well. You literally have to be on first name basis. So it always helps having your personal brand out on social media. And it also helps saying that you're doing, something as generic as, I like to help people. Leave it there. That's you're just a giver. You give people. You're talking about giving as a umbrella subject on your social media personal brand, but at work you are feeding this client of yours links and information that is helpful to him from social media through those various other means. Now, what's happening here? When you do that personal route, you are engaging and bonding. That client will remember Joy always, because Joy is the guy who's popping up on the box and the message twice a day with something or the other that is helpful to him. Over 7 days, and I use 7 as a analogical metaphor, over 7 days, when that client is going into his procurement contract renewal, the first person's contract to renew is going to be Joy's. And that's how it translates back into retention. It translates back into a business's, you know, non-attrition of client, as well as growth in business, because you can then negotiate new fees. On the other side of the spectrum is align the value. Find something that is of interest to your target audience. Look at your value. Now see, can that value communicate something which is of requirement to this target audience? And this is where science comes into play, because you need group, you need a little bit of community to form. So you do all of that to build up that community and then feed each of them. One of my clients, I'm going to handle it, I can't take names, handle it, is a management consulting client that went from management consulting and specialized. Last year during COVID, they found a huge uptake on management accounting and auditing practices and everything. And what actually was the main core is that there were lots of people asking for guidance on management accounting regulations and processes and practice. So they set up every Thursday, they started under our guidance, they just started a simple Zoom community free to attend. And this was about middle of last year, July last year. Every Thursday for 1 hour, one of their partner members would come in and speak on a particular topic. That topic would be advertised, communicated. Sorry, I used the wrong word, not advertised. Social media wise communicated under the company brand, supported by the partner's personal brands for a week, and it'll come in. So just like Fatah, you and I did for our live right now, you shared a post, I shared a post to bring people, and people came in. So we started with, I remember, we started with 7 people in July last year. 7 unknown, not the same. Nobody had to fill in any emails or anything. It was just come, give, give, give. In September of this year, the client signed a annual contract, which is in 7 digits for full management accounting with somebody, with an organization whose people had attended their Thursday community talks.
Wow.
Now, this is, I'm giving the short picture of it, that doing it for 1 year consistently, persistently, just simply giving management accounting areas of interest attracted people who are in that profession requiring inputs. You know, they covered taxation across various markets, they covered various regulations, practices, best practices, they had white papers. They just gave freely. Nobody had to do anything. Yes, a database was created. Every time you want to download, we need a database. That's only natural. It's part of the game. But nobody was hit for the last till now. Nobody was emailed out and everything. We've just 3 weeks ago sent a request mail out to saying we are starting a newsletter. Here's what the newsletter is going to have, one in a month. If you'd like to join, let us know. Our idea is by December, we'd like to know from that database whether we are crossing 30% of the database, in which case we'll do the newsletter. If not, we're just going to keep it on blog. So this is how it really works. You have to be very intentional, you have to be very strategic, you have to be very focused, and yeah, you use your marketing to build your business, because business is marketing. It's not your core expertise that you have, it's not your product, it's not your service. It's creating that emotional likability is all about understanding how your target audience feels and thinks. Once you know these two areas, and how do you get this? People will ask me this question. You get this by social listening. It's called looking at the social media of the target profile. So where do you get target profile? You build target profile, which is why a database is always valuable. In B2B, it's a little easier because you have a closed group of clients and prospects you're pitching to. You find that out. Once you find that out, you focus, strategize, look at your value, see the alignment, build. And this is where my triple M comes in, and I'll be jumping the gun. But basically, the triple M stands for meaning, makeup, message. Meaning is your value and your purpose, communicate that. Okay. Your makeup is what's your target audience thinking and feeling. It's not about the title, it's not about the role, it's about the individual. You've got to translate vice president distribution to Ritik Harori, Delhi, Noida, address, loves to play tennis every Sunday at Delhi gym, right? Drives Honda City, has one daughter, that kind of detail. Where do you get all this detail? Just have good social agencies with this profiling done, give to them, and they will pick up from social media to give you a kaleidoscope. That's one way. Second way is, of course, you can push it out, pull it out as a poll and ask for it. I've had some mixed 50-50. It's hard to do it through a poll. It's hard to get this emotional bit. But, and the last tip is this. So sorry, let me finish the triple M first. You do this makeup, you understand how your target audience is made up, you bring up your value from your meaning, you align to what's important to the target audience. So for those of us who drive, you go for servicing, you have wheel balancing and alignment. You don't see that your wheels are out of alignment, but the guy who does your alignment shows you on the computer screen that it's out a little bit and puts the weights on the rims and aligns it. If you guys are a bit of auto freak that way, same way, you've got to align that value of your brand and the need of what the target audience wants. And this is where the makeup comes in. This is where we create the content pillars. This is where we create the content strategy. This is where we focus on which social we have to look at to build it up. And then the peak comes in, the message. The message is very important. This is where your stories, your data, and your conversations come to play. Stories are how you're going to get interest. You educate and you entertain. Data is important, absolutely, because you need to know if your content is performing or not performing. And conversations are just like you and I are having. Simplify the language, get away from jargon, get away from everything. Speak in English, write in English, talk in English, talk mother tongue, whichever works with your target audience. Communicate. So, like, India is a unique market. We have 7 languages playing for any brand at any point in time when their marketing is happening. At my end of the world, we have 2 languages, 3 languages playing. But it's very, very important to do that. That's how you do that structure. Now, in a live, I can't give you the whole picture of how to create that emotional likability. But here's a caveat. Don't expect to start on Monday and have emotional likability on Friday. Don't even expect to start on 1st of the month and have emotional likability on 30th. Just like you meet for the first time and you go out and have a cup of tea and then you move it to a dinner, then you move it to a movie, it's like a dating progress. That whole thing, you've got to invest. Again, I reiterate, you have to give value that your target audience wants, that your client wants. You have to give it from that perspective, and that value will change. And you can't be so fragmented. So you've got to be consistent. You've got to choose these themes, these interests, find that there's enough number of people to appeal to, and then there are many avenues and tools to build it. But content, communicating the interest is one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, great. I think these are some great insights. And then you were talking about don't start on a Monday and then think by Friday or Saturday things are going to be done.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
start on the first or something,
sorry,
right?
the point, because a lot of my clients come to me with I'll use this word, they come to me asking for a band-aid.
Hmm.
I give them the band-aid, but I start with saying, why did this cut happen? Okay. Oh, the rose bush thorn scratched me. Why were you near the rose bush? I was out taking a walk. But the bush is on the garden bed and you are on the walkway. You get my drift. Keep asking
Right.
questions till you get to a root cause, because the root cause is what you need to solve. So, why it doesn't happen in one day is relationship building, creating emotional likability is a long term process. In personal branding, there's a framework, Fatah, which you know very well, called know, like, and trust. First, you've got to get the people to know you. So, Monday to Friday goes in getting people to know. Sorry, I'm going to jump into a little bit of Hindi. ये कौन है भाई, बार बार सर उठा रहा है, बोले जा रहा है. All the time, who's this person who's picking up his head and speaking on? So first, get attention. How do you get attention? There are means of getting attention. But once you get attention, then you've got to hold that attention. Remember, we've got 6 seconds. We are worse than goldfish or something now I read somewhere that cannot. So how do you hold somebody's attention on a social media scroll? Value, something of interest. Educate, entertain. I come to these 2 E's because these are the 2 that always plays, in my experience, looking at people, looking at clients and everything. If you don't educate, you don't entertain, and it's not in their interest sphere, scroll off, scroll off. So get attention, hold that attention, educate and entertain so people know you. That's the knowing phase. Now, the more they know you, they're going to come away with a binary. They'll either like you or they won't like you. The rest is our excuses of, no, sometimes he's just in a bad mood, but he actually likes me. That's self-excuse. There's nothing more than binary. So as a brand, and I'm not differentiating between a personal brand or a business brand and a service brand. As a brand, your target audience is going to know you and either like you or not like you. So be ready for attrition. That's okay. This is where the 80-20 comes into play. The more you can hone down into the ones who really know you and want you and like you can serve them better, more value to them. The more value you give to them, they start trusting you. The moment you get into trust and you keep maintaining that trust, you find your right quality leads coming, your sales happening. Not only that, you start getting referral. Again, B2B, referrals very important, and referrals do occur a lot, contributes significantly in business. So you'll find that sales and referral happening your sales team don't have to give an introduction. They go straight to the heart of the matter that, sir, this software that you need for your accounting is going to do XYZ, produce that ABC report that you need. Now, you have the subscription plan, you have the annual download plan. Boom. Out. That's it. And this getting to that trust stage takes a whole lot of time. A whole lot of time. I mean, look with personal relationships, friendships. We have friends from school days, from university days, from workspace. Look at where our own trust, when we discuss something that is of really interest to us with our school friends and our university friends who don't work with us, but they've been friends with us for years, right? People within the family. Look at our spouses, for those of us who are married. How much do we discuss? I mean, my spouse is my confidant, best friend, and I share and discuss. Not that she comes from marketing and advertising too, but she doesn't do anything in my business, but it's an outside perspective that I'm sharing for. So when you build that relationship, it takes time. It takes not just 30 days. Rome wasn't built in 30 days. And I could keep giving you metaphors. Every brand, depending on the business, if you rush it, you're not going to get it. My last example on this, no matter how much we try, a normal, healthy baby is born after 9 months and 10 days, if I'm right, something to that extent, right? The pregnancy might be smooth, might be rough. That's a separate issue. But you cannot hasten a baby before. When before happens, we call it premature. The same thing with your brand. If you rush, your know and like are going to be shaky. Forget about getting to trust. That's the only thing. Brother
Okay.
Tosif, shout out to you. Thank you so much for adding that. Beautifully put. Visibility, credibility, and profitability. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think some deep insights you're sharing, and it reiterates. And then for me as well, it adds a lot of value when you're talking about take time to build your brand, giving that analogy of relationships and all of this. Right? So it's really great here getting those insights. Now we have a couple of questions. If you want to take it now, or do we do it later?
I'd love to take it. I've been noticing it on the comments. But Fatah, may I digress slightly to bring up one point which is very close to my heart? This has to do with mid-career people, employed professionals, as well as entrepreneurs, and my brand. Okay, it has to do with personal and um, business brand. The example that I want to share, and we were talking about this just behind the stage before we came on. A lot of because I work with training and development people and coaches like you and career coaches, one of the things I've always asked is that employees say, I can't build a personal brand because company does not allow it, there's a policy, or I can't talk about the company and all of that. Number one. Number two, there are a lot of job seekers who are, I find, in today's market, I mean, my heart goes out to them. I've been there, as I've shared with you. I've been in that position as a senior person in 2018, hunting for a job, 10 months, not getting a job, feeling lousy. I know the feeling. I've been through it. But one thing that I realize is that nobody is willing to change the playing field. So let me start with the job seeker and move into the professional. So I'm a job seeker. I've worked. I'm 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience, and I'm looking for a new job. What do? I take my resume, I update my resume. Maybe I'll spend some money, go to a resume writer, write my resume beautifully so that it's ATS compliant and all of that, and send it through. So now you have a company. Take any big good company that you want to join, maybe, or you don't know any company, but you know a role. So every time you see a role coming up on a job board, on LinkedIn, wherever it is, you're applying. Two things are happening here. One, you've not taken your strengths, you've not identified what's your edge, why should you be selected in the whole lot. And three, you're just following the herd. You're doing what everybody else is doing. So 5,000 applications, 500 applications, whatever the number for that role is going in, right? And you're leaving everything to luck or what? Because you're hoping your resume goes through ATS, somebody picks it up, somebody calls. You are hoping. Hope is not a strategy. Now, flip it. You are a job seeker, employed or unemployed. If you spend some time, and today nobody has any excuse, if you have a mobile phone, which everybody does, smartphone is all over the world, and you know yourself and you build your personal brand and you start talking about the value you create in your expertise. So, case in point, I've worked across 8 industries, yet in marketing. So I could take a lot of areas. I could talk about email marketing, video marketing, lead generation, or all those small fragmented bits. In place of that, I pulled back to my core and said, I used to do marketing strategy and business strategic planning. What's my thing? How and what does the client feel? And that's what brought me back to this whole bit about emotional likability. In the same way, if job seekers individually look at what drives me, what's my purpose, what do I want people to know me for, what do I stand for, it's not an easy task, but with a little bit of guidance, and this is where Fatah, people like you come in. If they take that little help, find their purpose, and they start building a personal brand, I'm not going to get into the steps, but they build a personal brand. Imagine what happens. You write your resume, or you ask a resume writer or whatever to write your resume from that perspective of the value you bring. And then you line up your achievements with data, with facts, how you delivered value in your roles, right? With the keywords, because everything else is scientific. You're writing a resume ATS compliant for it to go through ATS. But at the same time, you're building your personal brand. Now, if any recruiters are here or otherwise, they can check it out, or correct me if I'm wrong. In my experience, the first thing a hiring manager or a recruiter does is when the resume pops up, they go to Google, they type in the name, or they go to LinkedIn, they type in the name. Now imagine, if you've not taken care of your digital persona, i.e. your personal brand, and your resume is, fantastic, you're the best, you're the top of the line engineer, doctor, marketeer, whatever, but your digital persona is zilch. It's a dark room. It has nothing. It just has a picture of you 5 years ago, and it has your last position saying, I'm responsible for. No story, no nothing. You're dead. You're not going to get a call. So this is the first point I want to make about the importance of branding and as a personal brand for a job seeker. And this job seeker, if you do this personal brand, now you get into the company, right? You're getting the job because of your skills. You're being noticed because of your personal brand. You're going in. Now what happens? So at a mid-career level, going into the C-suite, you've got to be visible, to echo what Brother Tosif said. Without being visible, you're not going to be able to have your voice heard. Voice heard objectively and attentively. So you are one of 500 employees. You are one of 15 people in that executive management committee for that organization. There are 15 voices. It's not a group discussion where the one who speaks the most gets to be heard. No, it's a question of strategic, focused, consistently talking on every meeting, every month, adding something of value which adds to the company's profitability. Now, if you're talking in a committee that has C-suite, talk numbers. Translate your area into data and give an insight of what the data is saying. See, that's personal branding. Take the lead internally to communicate to others. One part. Second part, talk about, without divulging company's name or brand or anything, talk about your expertise. Not because you're a data analyst, not because you're an engineer, not because you're a lawyer. So you're a lawyer, you're running a legal firm, or you're part of a legal firm. You can talk about your area of specialization in law and what are some of the new developments in that. You don't have to add your company's name under your personal brand in social media. Again, two things happen. One, when you do that internal volunteering and internal value adding, you get noticed. When you get noticed, you're flagged for career progression, for leadership training, for self development. These are the perks that help you grow, number one. But at the same time, when you add on that personal brand on social media, when you talk about your passion or expertise or interest to a wider area having the same passion or interest or focus, you are building your own visibility for somebody else to call you for a job. You don't have to go back to your job seeker status of applying to 500 jobs to get 5 interviews and hopefully land up with one. That's a very good hit rate, by the way, but you don't have to. So I wanted to make this point because, Dream Career Talk Show, we're talking career. Build your career. You are the CEO of your life. And I say this as a quote from a very dear friend of mine on LinkedIn in US, a gentleman called Corey Warfield, who taught me this line literally. I loved it. Take charge of your life and be the CEO. And if you're a CEO of a business, what do you do? Top down, strategic, focus, intentional. Build your brand. To build your brand, whoever's here watching and everything, talk to Fatah. He'll tell you how to do it. He's a career coach. Now, sorry for that interjection. I wanted to bring that in point because when you build your personal brand and tomorrow, as you leave employment and you go into building a business or starting a consulting or a service firm, or if you're an entrepreneur today, build your personal brand first because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. I didn't say it. It's a cliche. It's around there. People want to see the person behind. So even Mr. Paul Polman of Levers comes on media, comes on social media. So put that personal brand first, bring your business brand second, build your personal brand, build yourself because you are the brand for your name, yourself, as well as your business. That's it. That's my point on that. Let's take the questions, Fatah.
Yeah, let's take it and post that. We will have a follow up on whatever you have mentioned right now. So here we have a couple of questions. One coming from Nanta. He's asking like, how can 80/20 principle influence profit?
Hang on a second. Let me just scroll back so I'm with this. Yeah, okay. So you see, when you have 20% of your clients buying from you, by focusing them and servicing on them, you upsell depending on the service or product that you have. You upsell, you cross sell, or you get referral sales. Now, by focus, I don't mean just go and see them every day and have a cup of tea. No, actually add value to them on a periodic basis, and you plan the period based on your business, whether it's weekly, monthly, fortnightly, quarterly. But when you keep doing this over a certain period of time, you'll find that a client who was buying $1 from you starts providing you another 20 cents more, theoretically speaking, of business through either buying more, extending contract period, giving you referral. So this over a couple of years of time will lead you to see a 20% of your account. Again, I give this from a B2B perspective. 20% of a business's accounts are generating 80% of its revenue, not profitability. Now, when you have that 80% of revenue, you need to look at your internal cost working, cash flow, and operations management in order for your profit margins. So when you manage that efficiently, profit margins are higher. Therefore, that 80% can give you higher profitability. It's happened with us. That's the best way I can put it succinctly at the moment.
Yeah, and completely agree that. And I think it's the same in B2C because one of my mentors says this, right? A buyer is a buyer is a buyer is a buyer, right? Once you have a client who trusts you, then they
Exactly.
start, you can upsell them, you can get other clients through their referrals or more business from them, right? That's how you generate 80% profit from 20% of your clients, right? So,
Spot on. I mean,
Nanta,
mobiles,
yeah,
telecommunication, cellular services is a great example where they do anything and everything to retain you on their, paid list as a
right.
customer because they know you're going to month on month you're going to give them revenue.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's the
Agreed.
that's the best model for them, the subscription model, where you continue to stay with them
Correct.
forever.
Correct. Correct. Sometimes you're a hostage, but there's no choice.
Right. Good. And we have another question coming from Puspita.
Yeah.
Puspita is asking, as a novice to marketing strategy, I do understand but can't do on my own due to work. And hiring is becoming costlier as a startup. Please suggest.
Sorry, Puspita, I beg your pardon, but I'm not sure I understand this question. So you're a novice to marketing or novice to marketing strategy. First, if I'm getting this correct, otherwise, please put in the chat in the
Okay,
comment box.
maybe I'll add to Pushpita's context because I understand what Pushpita is doing. So Pushpita is into like more of interior designing, right? And
Okay.
uh, she is new to whatever for her the skills are like she is expertise on her skills. But then when it comes to marketing strategy and all, this is all new to her, right? She is trying to
Okay.
follow her passion and do something on her own. But
Okay.
marketing strategy, all of this is new. So right now she is not able to do that on her own, and when she
Yeah.
has to bring somebody again, it's a costlier affair when you are a
Yes.
startup, right? So
Yes.
how do you do that? Should you do marketing on your own initially, or should you hire? What is the strategy that you would
Okay. Got
suggest
it.
here?
Thank you. Thank you, Fatah. Thank you. Okay. Pushpita, first thing first. I'm not sure how much you've done on your personal brand, but work with Fatah. Build your personal brand, use your own personal network to communicate your focus area. And by focus area, I'm going to break it into two areas. One is your interior decor or your interest and your passion, and why. What's your purpose of doing it? Communicate this and share what you are doing in your startup work day to day. That's one part of it. The second part of it is there are lots of people available across in India who are happy to collaborate to help you do the marketing side of it. And by collab, I mean not cash collab, but this is where joint visibility comes out. So work that comes out for you is also credited to, let's say I'm working doing marketing strategy and social media management and content development for you. So the work that comes out, I also talk about that same work as Pushpita being my client, right? So put this out, reach out on community networks, reach out through your social media networks. There are lots of people who would be happy, like you, starting off as a freelance in strategy, freelance in graphic, freelance in content. They'd be happy to come together. um, as I said at the start of the show, I work in a collab with five other people, or rather I didn't say at the start, I was talking to Fatah and I mentioned it to him. So in my business area, I work with five other people as a collab, and we came together a year ago exactly in the same principle. None of us shared anything other than the work we went in together. The only difference was we came together and we prospect and pitch and earn the work that we do. We share our expertise, but you can bring people together. To do that, you need a strong personal brand, because the moment your personal brand grows, it attracts people who are doing strategy, design, and stuff to come and reach out to you. You'll be pulling them like a moth gets attracted to fire, and you can save on the cost. Having said this, these are the two ways you can immediately get started. I would say, depending on how fast your business is scaling, please look at investing, and I use the word investing in a marketing team, not a social media management team. There's a difference here. Invest in a marketing agency that starts from strategy and goes to execution. So, strategy and execution are two rooms of a house. Imagine you walk into a house, an apartment, you walk into the living room. All discussions, chats, gatherings happen there. But when it's with family members or people you know very well, you do take it to a bedroom, or to a private area of the house. So execution is like that. You need to bring the strategy people together, have the strategy, close it out, go out, execute. Execution is a separate. You can have two sets of people. Look for, as your business scales, on the first model, look for marketing strategists who could help you. Anything I can do, please feel free to reach. That's my own self plug. I'm always happy to help people coming up. Keep strategy on one end, look at execution, because today in our marketing world, 98% of people and services are on the execution. And that's what creates a lot of confusion for a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, because they start thinking marketing is all that execution. If you don't have your brain and head in the right place, your arms and legs are not going to work or go as you want them to go. Strategy is the head and the brain. Focus on that. That's how I would ask you. Build it first with collaborative uh, thing. If you need some help to meet some people, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, or and I'll be happy to introduce you to a few people in India who will be able to help talk to you and do this. The other resource I'll tell you is where I'm involved, so I'm sharing this. Look up Creator Club, Crater, Creator Club, and it's a very good community where you could get a lot of marketing help, a lot of marketing help from strategy all the way through various lines of execution. So hopefully that'll help you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And when it comes to marketing, right, one of the challenge that I've been seen, especially in the B2C space, like coaches and all of this, they spend a lot of money on marketing and then they fail in marketing more because they see that they are getting the leads, but they are not able to convert them. So how do you do this? Like, how important, first of all, it is to understand your client profile, right? And how much time do you spend there? And how do you make sure that you get the right clients and then you are able to serve them in the best way?
I love this question, and I'll tell you why. Fatah, you touched a nerve in my heart. I'll tell you why. You use the word coaches and everybody, and I'm coming from that perspective. So if you're a service-based business, right, the first thing you've got to do is don't get stuck with blings. What I mean by blings is fads and trends, right? Those are automations, technologies meant to help you be efficient. They're not meant to give you the right leads. You've got to spend, you got to do the hard work. And hard work is actually digging up who's my target audience. And in order to dig up who's my ideal target audience or my ideal client, you've got to know what am I offering and how is it of value and why am I doing it. So I've met life coaches. There are life coaches and there are life coaches and life coaches. So what is a life coach? Sorry, I'm a bit cynical here, but what's a life coach? I understand a career coach, I understand a fitness coach, I understand a weights coach, I understand a nutrition coach. What's a life coach? You mean to say I can't manage my life, so I need somebody else to tell me how to manage my life? No, not really. You just something else altogether. Differentiate that. Now, in your marketing, and this goes back to personal brand, how would you like to be approached? What would you like to hear? Put that down. Start it. Start talking first yourself. Now, when you bring a marketing team on, that's very good. It's excellent. But don't lose sight of one thing. And this is going back to emotional likability. If you lose sight of you as a person, who you are and what you stand for, remember that is the key. That is the link with your client. The person is connected to you for who you are, what you stand for, because that's what resonates in terms of value. So you've got to ensure that all marketing communication, your entire branding is always communicating and delivering that at all points in time. Use technology to be efficient. Use a team for better quality graphics, for your talks, presentations, everything. But you have to ensure you have a good team in place, and a team becomes good only when you've worked with the person, that group, for some time. There are good simple marketing agencies and social media management and content development teams available. Bring them not on one-off projects, but bring them on, say you're going to run 3 campaigns. Have an idea to sit down and say, let's do the strategy first. Here's what I want leads. Define the leads. What kind of clients do you want? Where do you want them from? What is their pains that you think they should have? Define all of that, give it to that marketing agency, say give me the strategy and give me the execution plan. All right, strategy means what are the value, purpose and connectivity that we are going to do, and how are we going to do it. Then the how becomes the tactical plan of execution. Which channel, when, how frequently, what is going to come from that channel, where on the website are we going to connect back. Do all of that. You don't have to do it, but you need to hold that picture. You need to review it daily. Daily. You got to be efficient. Don't do a plan that the social media agency is running and you are not engaging. You're not engaging by means you're not running that company page or that personal brand page and actually commenting by yourself. You need to bring yourself as a personal brand in front and also run the engagement. This would be my 2 cents worth at the moment. Actually, it's worth way more than 2 cents, about 10 to 15 times more. Focus on getting the right strategic thing. So, my end of the work, I'll give you an example. A lot of my clients come to me only for the strategy section. They come to me with the issue, the opportunity. We work together, we create the strategy with an overview of how. And we never give them the detail of how is executed, because that's a separate, like I said, it's a separate room, it's a separate project altogether. 2 out of 4 clients, always so far in 1 year, we've had 50%, have said, can you guys follow this through? Negotiated on the price, we've run it through, and that's where I keep 10% performance in terms of fees, because I also want to see the effectiveness of the strategy recommended. But, and this is a big but, like Fatah, if we come and we do work for your dream career for you, we run your entire strategy and everything. There's a whole content strategy and marketing going out for Fatah Khan, and there's a similar one going out for dream career talk show, right? But the commonality between the two would be, sir, you need to come on for 30 minutes at 9:30 in the morning and 30 minutes at 4:30 in the afternoon for either or. Here's everything that you need for Monday. Here, this file on Google Drive, Monday to Friday. All you need to do is to take, paste, you release. Like for LinkedIn, I always advise clients to do it themselves, because you'll otherwise get jammed by LinkedIn. The other thing is, when you've done that, engage on those comments, because that's what gets you the leads. Otherwise, you're not going to get the right leads. Again, quick fixers, they're band-aids. I mean, I'm trying to be very, very polite and careful here in my terminology. If you just want quick leads, people are not idiots. They see you through. They can smell even through your social media feed. They can smell through your words. So
Right.
always be honest, clear, focused, and give it. My content, anybody go ahead, look up my LinkedIn content, look up my Instagram content, and you'll find 2 different flavors. My LinkedIn content is purely my passion on marketing in B2B and about emotional connectivity, how it creates growth. That's my B2B content. That's my LinkedIn content. On Instagram, I've got joy and I've got my humanizing business. I've got both. Why? Because Instagram is a more informal. I want to bring more of joy out. I want people to know who I am. Not that I don't do it on LinkedIn, but the ratio is 1:5 versus 1:3 on Instagram. That's it. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And how do you grow this emotional likability? Like, for example, somebody is into a product business, right? Or say, for example, services, maybe coaching. And people talk about those products over and over again, or the service over and over again. So, what
Right.
should be the strategy? Like, how much time you need to talk about you as a brand, and how much time, like your values, maybe your family, and the other stuff around you, so that people know you as a person, and how much time you should be spending on your product, your services.
Very simple. Let's take a unit of 1. You don't spend more than 10 out of that 1 on yourself. Okay. 10 is, sorry, you spend 75 on yourself. My bad. Yeah, it's getting late in the night. Brains are start holding back. You spend 75 on yourself as to who you are, what do you believe in, what do you stand for, what is your personal brand. 75. You spend 10 on your service, right? And you spend 15 on the value that service gives. 75 on yourself, 15 on your value, 10 on what your service is, and service or product accordingly. This is a ratio that comes out when you're doing your content structure and your content planning. Why do you want this ratio? Because the you is how trust is formed. The more people know you and get to know more about you, the more they'll like you or they'll dislike you. If they dislike you, no worries, you don't have to work hard. They like you, they'll go forward, they'll build the trust. Then they see the value that the service brings. And this is where, how do you grow that emotional likability, right? You add that value. You add So how do we grow relationships? As let's say we are married and we are going through first year of wedding is very different from the 10th wedding anniversary. But the
Right.
10th wedding anniversary or the 15th wedding anniversary or the 25th wedding anniversary has different flavors to it, feels to it. So you add that value, that emotional value through either functional value or financial, i.e., price value. So to give an emotional value and to reward I'll use the word reward, an existing client and make it stronger, you might want to add on something of your service that you normally charge other people. But to this client, that add-on service goes on free. Why? Because the client's already giving you 80% of the business of the requirement. So you're adding on and you want to give. It's all about giving so that more comes back to you. The more you give in that 15 in terms of communication, 75 will already have give, but that give is from you, your expertise, your purpose, your value. The 15 is from the service, how it adds and creates profitability, creates whatever the client wants. All right. You up it from that aspect. You add on. Each business has a different thing. And the last bit is, of course, the most easiest. Discount the price or give a price off or renew the contract at current year's rate in place of rate hike. We all face this. Those of us who have some subscriptions here and there, we'll always get emails saying, renew at October in place of December so that you hold to this rate. In January, it will become 15-20% more, etc. Like Zoom, for example, they always do it.
Right.
So that's how you build it. It's case by case depending on the business. So like my management accounting client, as I was talking to you, those who've come to his business and signed on, like this client, he's just signed on, this mega client. He's actually signed on with 3 manpower with the client 5 days a week for the first 12 months. That is a huge cost because there's a salary cost and time cost involved of those 3 manpower being taken away from other business and given to him. But the only reason that person has given it is because he is investing, the organization is investing into this big account, which they believe in a span of 3 years can actually start contributing literally 1/3 of their entire business. Now, people can discuss, isn't that risky? You 1/3 of your business from one area. But when you're talking to a large organization and you've got one of their subsidiaries that you're going in through, I think it's a very shrewd investment because through that one, if you can get a referral and get 2 more or 3 more in 3 years, you're getting into the group. Your clientele is growing, but it's in one umbrella. So each business has its own way of building that likability, emotional likability. It pays as long as you're patient and you're not greedy. It results in profitability sustainably year on year.
Yeah. Great. And when you talk about the 75, 15, and the 10, right? So here, most of the work, that means it still lies on you, right? Especially when you're a startup as well, right? You show up, you create your content, you share about what you do, what are your values, right? And rather than you thinking about outsourcing and then your business grows, right?
You can outsource, Fatah. My experience has been this. You can outsource, but nobody can write what's in your head and what's in your heart. You can give a direction. So I would always say, delegate all the how would I say, delegate all the cumbersome work of designing the graphic and getting a content piece written. If you are able to bring a team on board, bring a team on board, right? Spend couple of days to 3 days with them for them to fully understand what's in your head and let them start churning out written content, video content, scripts and everything for you. But get involved in your daily schedule, make time to sit and get involved and actually go through what is being written. What is my video script, right? Talk to, if you have a, if the agency gives you a video marketing coach or somebody who shows you how to be on camera, what posture to have, the right words to use, take all of that and give it your own flavor. We all have a particular personal touch. Bring that out. If it doesn't, nobody can write. There you go. Thank you, Andrea. Shout out for you being here. Really appreciate you giving the support. Love you, Andrea. Thank you so much. Bring yourself to spend that time. See, look at time as an investment because time is the only thing we have common. right? You could either look at, oh, I'm using this time for another meeting, but what are you letting go? You're letting go a very important piece of you that is going to be on the digital world forever. People are going to go back to that. You might get bored of it, but that content comes up. 3 months later, if somebody comments on it, that content comes up. So please allocate time for two things as a startup, especially in the startup world. One, please build your personal brand as you're building your startup ideas and your startup business. It's equally important, if not more. If people don't know who you are, they won't know what your business is. It's easier for people to talk to people about your business through who you are, including investors. Number one. Number two, get, and there's so many resources. I mean, there's, you've got so many sites and freelancers and everything. Get a bunch of collaborative freelancers together, right? Create a budget. Even in your own startup, if you're doing it on a shoestring, create a small ad hoc budget. You can get some very lovely creative help. Put time together to work with these people. And today's world after COVID, we are all on Zoom and WebEx and Webi and whatnot on videos. Just make simple 30 minutes, 45-minute sessions to discuss a particular script, content, structure, what to do, and then record and send it to them to do all the editing and subtitling and writing and everything. And then in your calendar, just like you have this meeting, put a schedule where you post. So maybe you may have to wake up 45 minutes or 30 minutes earlier in the morning and have a cup of tea or coffee in order to catch LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever is your main medium at 7 a.m. in the morning before you start your day at 8:30. Right? If you start your day at 8:30 or at 9 o'clock in the morning, if you start your day at 10, and then keep another band late in the night after dinner, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, just to check what's been the engagement to respond. Boom, you're done. Do this for 1 month. You'll find it's become a habit. But please build your personal brand. If you don't build your personal brand, you're playing with fire. You're hoping people will see your startup and understand your business brand. Even in a business brand, there are spokespersons. The spokesperson's brand carries weight. If nobody knows you, if nobody can find you, nobody will trust you, nobody will believe you. That's all I'll say to it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And we have spent over an hour now
Yep.
talking about brand and likability. And I think some great insights shared there, especially when it comes to the 3M strategy that you spoke about, and also how do you actually get started. And also for the corporate professionals, right? Not only connecting with the businesses, you also connected with professionals, why they need to build the brand and how they can do it being in a company, building their own brand. I think a lot of great insights there. And if we have to end this session, do you have anything as the last uh, point that you want to put, or the last piece of advice that you want to give before we close this session for the day?
It's a very simple piece of advice that comes from being a human being, Fatah. Approach everything in life from one perspective. Whether you're an employed professional, you're a startup founder, you're a businessman, whichever way it is. We are all human beings. So always approach, how would I want to be treated if I was the client? And I say this from a marketing hat on, that always put, how would you like, recall your uh, times as a client, as a customer, put that in the forefront, draw up your client picture and serve that. And then delight, serve that, create an experience that goes above the expected expectation. I can tell you, success will be yours in a strategic manner, planned, not by luck. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Great, and thanks a lot for being here and sharing a lot of value. It definitely comes with a lot of experience that you have had and the kind of heart that you have to share. So thank you for being here and sharing that value. And thank you all for being here and also engaging with us, right? Especially Andrea, Nanta, Puspita, Tausif, right, Nikita, all of you, thank you. And for people who have been watching us live and people who are going to watch us later, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this conversation and it is going to add a lot of value for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Fatah. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to the audience, especially Andrea, Tausif, who's come, and Pushpita. Thank you for the lovely questions. And I think Nanta had also asked. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Fatah. Been an absolute dream, and hopefully this will add some value to a few people out there. Anytime I can do, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Definitely. Thank you. And thanks, everyone, once again, and have a great night.